welcome to another episode of the Pabi Moloi podcast. It was the sister equivalent to the brother, but Khabani told me absolutely not. You can't call this the sister podcast. This has to be your podcast. So I'm so glad to be here with you. And I'm glad that you can be here with me to talk about this absolutely important issue today. We're talking about workplace environmental toxicity. We're talking about when you walk through the door every day and you have to drag yourself because of poor management, because of being bullied in the workplace, because of very, very intense difficulties that you're finding rising up in the workplace. And I know I've seen so many people complaining about this, qualified people, excellent workers, high achievers who are having extreme difficulty. So today we've invited into studio social worker and director of Nyavanj Wellness Consultants, Nyiko Mabunda, to talk to us about toxic work environments. Nyiko, it's nice to see you.
Nice seeing you too, Pabi.
Are you well?
I'm doing very well. And
yeah,
yourself?
How's your work environment?
No, my work environment is okay.
Yeah. Everything's going well.
Yeah, everything's going well.
Well, I mean, I currently don't have a work environment. Okay. And it's very interesting how many people go from having a toxic work environment to making specific decisions about their lives, to build other things, to move out of toxic work environments. I mean, if we start just with what is a toxic work environment, what are we looking at here?
We talk about a negative and hostile work environment, which is characterized by dysfunctional behaviors, poor communication, lack of trust, and a culture of negativity, which tends to harm the psychological health and well-being of employees, which sometimes manifest in a form of harassment, bullying, discrimination, high employee turnover, chronic stress, ultimately impacting on productivity, leading to burnout, anxiety, and depression.
There are a couple of things that you mentioned there in the beginning. Can you talk to me about the first 3 or 4 things that you mentioned?
Okay. I indicated that it's a negative and hostile work environment.
And then the third?
Which is characterized by dysfunctional behaviors, poor communication, lack of trust.
Lack of trust.
And a culture of negativity.
The lack of trust is what I want to zoom into. What do we mean by lack of trust?
In some cases, you find that there's no trust amongst the team members, or there's no trust between the bosses and the subordinates.
Right.
Yeah, but it's a situation whereby you find it even difficult to make decisions.
Right.
As an employee, even when you're capable. In some cases, you are even micromanaged, leading to you ending up doubting your own capabilities.
Yeah.
And
because of then that double think, I don't know if that's the right word, you'll tell me, but you are thinking of doing your job, but then you're also thinking of what the consequences are of any move that you make. That can lead to burnout.
Yes. The reaction, if you are worried about the reaction of your superiors when you're supposed to be doing your work, and you're worried about how they will receive the product or the service, it can lead to you getting so frustrated because obviously you'll be unsettled in the workplace. And whenever you think of coming to work, you'll drag your feet, you'll dread going to work because you'll not be looking forward to anything than rejection, criticism, negative feedback, and all that. And it will eventually weigh heavily on yourself.
And so the first thing we do, I think, is look at ourselves and go, why am I not motivated? Why am I unable to reach these KPIs? What, and we look at ourselves, but what role does leadership have to play in, creating toxicity amongst the staff or a culture of it overall?
Management has got a huge role to play because if we're talking about systematic culture, then it means it's something that is now entrenched into the system. It's now part of the day-to-day life within the organization, regardless of whether it's toxic or not. But in this case, we're talking about the one that is toxic.
Yes.
It has been normalized People survive in that. People are no longer motivated at work. There's lots of gossip. So management has got a duty to try and cap that, to try and manage that. But they can only do so if they are able to see. Because remember, in some cases, you'll find that it's in the blind spot because maybe it's perpetuated by their leadership style. And if it's perpetuated by their own leadership style, it might be a bit difficult for them to notice that their traits, the way they treat employees, or the things they do or encourage in the workplace is causing this toxicity that we're talking about today.
But sometimes I think that that's what they want. Sometimes I think that they think that that's the right thing to do.
And you're right. It might be due to lack of knowledge. For instance, there are employers who might have a disregard for your personal life, such that they don't care about things like work-life balance. Some are regarded as slave drivers. So such people are doing that, but in some cases, they do not know the repercussions or the consequences on the well-being of their workforce. Yes, they want work to be done, and they don't care about your personal life. They don't care whether you have to do this extra work to make sure that everything is done. They don't care whether you have time with your family and all of that. All they want is productivity at any cost. They want that, which is productivity, but then disregarding the fact that if you are not well and there's no good balance, the very same productivity in the long run will be affected when you're not well. So in some cases, they overlook that. In some cases, some don't have the insight to see that, you know? Because in all honesty, we all have blind spots.
Okay.
You'll find that I'm so consumed with my work and productivity and goals, such that I no longer have time to look at other factors.
And they may find themselves kind of sandwiched, right? Where C-suite is putting so much pressure on middle management that then they, on the regular staff, are very, very hostile or very uncaring or have these blind spots. Let's talk very quickly about the role of favoritism.
Favoritism, discrimination, nepotism
are
at the center of this toxicity that we're talking about, because it creates a culture whereby there are those who know that they can get away with murder, they enjoy the protection of superiors, and they are so involved when it comes to decision making, and they will always be favored whenever decisions are made, irregardless of their capabilities in some instances. It's more about proximity to power, you know. Whoever is close to power will be safe at all times. Yes.
Will be covered.
Will be covered.
Shielded. That's a good word. Shielded. So a lot of conversation that happens online about toxicity in the workplace brings up HR or human capital, right? The human resources part of the business that is supposedly supposed to take care of the policies that are in place to take care of you as an employee. But the general response is that please don't trust HR. Don't tell HR things, because HR is not there for you. HR is there for the organization. Talk to me about the role in HR in upkeeping or dissolving toxicity in a workplace.
Under normal circumstances, HR is supposed to be there to guard the interests of the employees. But in some organizations that are dysfunctional, HR ends up misunderstanding their role, such that they expose employees, or they let employees be exposed to a lot of abuse, ill treatment, and not implement the policies that are there to help protect or guard these employees. And I think this is one of the main reasons why I personally feel that it's important for organizations to have at least a component under HR, which is more independent, outsourced, to do employee wellness. Whereby they'll bring in professionals who are from outside to come and support employees who are stressed, depressed, or going through any form of ill treatment in the workplace. Because in some cases, you find that HR personnel are only focusing on the policies and not help employees deal with the actual problems. Yes. Some don't have the capacity.
I was about to say, because they don't really know how.
Yes.
They have an HR qualification, but perhaps they don't have a psychology or social work or coaching capacity as well. All right, here's a question. You go for an interview. You're fortunate enough not to get one of those letters, "We regret to inform you." You actually get the interview, right?
Yeah.
And you go into the interview, Nyiko, and sometimes they ask you to ask them some questions.
Yeah.
But overall, in the interview process, what red flags can you look out for to see that this might be a toxic environment?
In some cases, as a candidate who's being interviewed, when it happens that you ask about, say, organizational culture or some of the challenges that employees are experiencing or problems that are highly prevalent in the workspace, the management might try to sugarcoat or not be upfront about the actual challenges or paint a picture that says everything is fine.
Yes.
It cannot be that an organization doesn't have challenges because the people that are there are coming from different backgrounds. People are different and they have got different skill sets and different preferences. And the relationship dynamics within the workforce will not be the same from one person to the next. So if they are not forthcoming or they paint a picture that is gloomy, you must be worried because that says there might be something that they do not want us to know. And when we're in there, it might be a bit too late for us to excuse ourselves because we have already committed by signing contracts.
Well, I was about to say, let's talk about contracts next. I was reading a story of somebody who signed a offer, which just had a salary on it. And later on, the terms and conditions of the contract were then laid on them. This was a professional with a qualification who ended up having to clean cupboards, who ended up having to, and there's nothing wrong with menial labor, but this isn't what they signed
for
in their mind up for, right? They were going into a corporate behind the computer, so talk to me about that process. And I know you're not from the legal space, but in the space you're in as a consultant, you've seen this happen. What should we be looking out for?
It's very important that when we sign contracts, especially after, I'm sure the job will be advertised first.
Yes.
With the job spec, requirements, and responsibilities.
Yes.
When it's time for you to sign that contract, just make sure that it talks to what you applied for as per advert. It should not be vague. It should not be blank. It shouldn't be mostly about the money, but it should be more about the responsibilities. And if there's something you don't understand or something that is not clear on the contract, you have a right as a prospective employee to ask for clarity and to ask for the terms to be put in a manner that you will understand. Yes.
Before you
sign, put pen to paper.
Exactly.
But the challenge is most of the time we're desperate. Let's be honest.
I know.
We are desperate for this job such that we don't think twice. We don't even read the fine print when it's time for contracts to be signed.
Which is very interesting because then a toxic leader may work on that desperation.
Yes.
Because they know then if they bully you, if they swear at you, because I know environments where people are sworn at. They're called into the office to be sworn at by management. But because you're so desperate, you're the only breadwinner, they think they can do absolutely anything to you. Can they?
They cannot just do anything as they wish because there's labor laws that protect employees.
Right.
You know?
And so how do you go about engaging those labor laws?
If you are already in the organization, obviously you'll have to check the policies of the company.
Yes.
Through HR. Then remember, these policies should be aligned to the labor laws of the country. Then you can be able to engage your union if you are unionized. If not, you can engage a legal practitioner who will be able to assist you take the employer on. Yes.
I think it's so sad because I think a lot of employees are in this position.
It's very sad because in most cases, you'll find that there's fear-based culture.
100%.
And when that manifests in an organization, it becomes a bit tricky and difficult because during that time, you might not even get support from your peers.
No, you won't.
Because no one wants to face the music of the employer. So if people speak to you about it, they may support you, but behind closed doors. When it's time for them to come and maybe give evidence or be witnesses, no one will be willing to do that. You'll be on your own. And in some cases, you might not have tangible evidence, because some of these bosses, you find that they are narcissists. And with narcissists, it's naturally inherent for them to make sure that when they bully you, when they abuse you, there's no tangible evidence. It will be words which are not recorded, which you will find it very difficult to prove.
And they kind of get you alone.
Yes. They isolate you.
Yes.
It's their nature.
So it's your word against theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So it becomes difficult.
So you see this happening, you experience this, you can tell my mental well-being's not okay. I'm not the same. I don't feel the same as I felt before. Let's talk about wellness. What can an employee do once they start spotting that? And what are some of those signs they should be looking at?
One, spotting it is a good start. Because there are those who are in these toxic work environments who have not reflected and noticed or put a name to it.
That's amazing.
But once you are able to put a name to it, it's a good start.
Okay.
Because that gives you an advantage to start thinking of what you can do about it.
Because what's happening to you? What are some of the symptoms?
Some of the symptoms which you will see is lack of productivity or low productivity on your side, lack of motivation to go to work, disassociation, yourself of isolation, which you may experience, infighting, lack of boundaries in the workspace, lack of support for growth, no recognition of work, and also lack of psychological safety, whereby you cannot be able to question anything with your superiors, whereby you're not allowed to raise your views, because when you do so, you'll be humiliated, you'll be embarrassed, you'll be ridiculed.
So all of this is chipping away at your self-esteem, essentially.
It chips on your self-esteem.
And so essentially, then you kind of get to a crossroads at some point with the toxicity, right? Can we talk about strategies? If the crossroads for me is get out of there, go.
You get to
apply somewhere.
But the difficulty is that we don't have much jobs.
Our unemployment rate is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
So the other end is
you are not coping.
Stay.
But on the other side, you need this job
yes.
to survive.
So the other side is then you stay at the job you need to survive.
You find yourself staying.
But how do you then protect yourself? What strategies can you put in place, Nyiko Mabunda, to take care of yourself while you're still there?
You need to start prioritizing yourself while you are still there. For instance, you can start doing mindfulness. You can start exercising. You can start paying attention to the little things which make you feel better. You can start socializing. You start spending more time in nature. You know, this is aimed at enriching you as an individual. It's got nothing to do with work, but it's you trying to remain sane, you know? Because if you don't, you're going to collapse.
So it's almost separating yourself, because many of us build a lot of our esteem and who we are on our jobs, on our titles.
We tend to do that.
So you're saying separate that, have a hobby, man.
Have a life.
Have a life.
Have a life.
Get a life.
But while living a life, develop a strategy, an exit strategy. Because in most cases, you might not be able to influence change of this culture.
Of course.
Because it's systematic.
Yeah.
You know? So if you sit there hoping that you can change the whole organization of, say, 200 people, it might be a losing battle. So work on a strategy, allocate or have a timeline to say, after a year, I must be out of this place. Now I'm going to work on my CV. Now I'm going to look for opportunities and start applying. Now I'm going to work on my network, revive my network, and see if there's nothing out there that I can do when I leave here.
But that's very difficult when you're burnt out, you're full of anxiety, you're tired. So that's why the things that are outside of work are going to help to replenish you, that you have even, I don't know, it's deeper than motivation. It's like the respect for yourself that that's not what I deserve.
In fact, the first point is to reclaim yourself.
That's it.
To restore yourself, regain yourself.
Yes.
When that has been achieved, is then that you can start thinking of steps you can take to try and exit. But first work on yourself.
Okay.
You know? So while doing that,
yes,
don't forget to strengthen your support structure or to look out for these people who would give you support during this phase, because on your own you might not cope.
Are you talking about outside of the work environment?
Outside the work environment.
Okay.
Yes. Outside
the
work environment.
This is maybe reviving friendships that you would cancel things because you had work commitments for.
Yes.
I know we all get to that point.
Yes.
Maybe, reconnecting with your family in some way.
And so finding a therapist.
To that degree?
Yes.
From a toxic work environment?
Yeah, find a therapist who will keep you going in the meantime and who will help you put things in perspective and work around a strategy, an exit strategy to survive.
I think that's fantastic.
Remember, not all our friends have got the capacity to help us navigate around these issues. Some are good at giving us an ear, and it ends there. Some will come and cheer us up, but they may not have the mechanisms which will help us develop a strategy to take us forward.
Okay, so you can see a therapist, you can see a coach.
Yes.
We can come to somebody like yourself, right, in the work that you do.
Yeah.
And this is the time where, in tandem, where, as you say so beautifully, reclaiming ourselves, and then we're on a path to sprucing up our CV, if there's any course that we need to do, if there's any whatever in our industry, pictures we need to take, whatever it is, you make sure you do that. And then work becomes just something you go to while you're working on your exit strategy.
Yeah, your life should not revolve around work.
Yes.
Because work has proven to be toxic and it has brought you where you are now, where you no longer have a motivation for anything. Because during that time, it's not like you'll still have energy for life at home.
No,
because this toxicity, you take it with home. When you go home worried about going to work tomorrow, you don't sleep.
It's draining.
You find yourself on a Sunday, instead of you taking it easy with family, recharging and planning for the week, you don't have that strength because you're already dreading going to work on a Monday.
So this can really affect your mental health.
I
mean, we've
some
talked
end
about
up getting depressed.
Depression,
some develop anxiety.
Yeah.
Anxiety is one of the most common conditions which develop out of this work toxicity.
Yeah.
Because remember, anxiety talks to the excessive fear and worry that you develop. When you are scared of your boss, when you're worried about the reaction of your boss, when you're worried about the reception that you get from him when you get to work, that can lead to you developing that anxiety. Okay. And when you are anxious, there is no way you can be able to produce at your best because you're always obsessing about the what ifs and the negative feedback you're likely to receive from those who matter.
So from a financial point of view, working on your exit strategy is really looking for within your network what opportunities may be available.
Yeah.
But then it may also be cutting down on, and we've cut down on luxury
you need
much.
You need to start preparing yourself
so that we are prepared.
Eventualities.
We have a buffer in case something happens. That's what you recommend.
Because it can happen, Pabi, that within the year that you've told yourself that I must be out of the system, you don't have an offer.
Yes.
But you realize that I'm not surviving.
Yes.
You realize that I'm dying here.
Yes.
You may have to exit without a job. Then you need a buffer.
How often do you think that happens? People exiting without jobs?
It happens often.
I think so too.
But one thing that I want to urge people or encourage people to do is that they should not act out of impulse.
Yes. Or anger. Or,
yes, this toxicity is something that you've been exposed to for a long time. But once you start navigating around it, do not just decide and say, because I now see that I'm not coping, I'm leaving tomorrow.
Yeah.
Give yourself a bit of time to strategize, to plan around an exit. Because that might come with repercussions. We all have financial responsibilities. So if it's not done properly, it may cause a lot of stress.
All right. We've come to the end of our conversation. I can't believe it. What are the final thoughts you want to leave with us, Nyiko?
What I can say to everyone who might be watching this podcast is that we must never lose ourselves because of work. Even if there's no toxicity within the workspace,
yes,
we need to always look out for ourselves. We need to prioritize our mental well-being at all times. So if there's anything that poses a threat to our mental well-being, we need to act at all times.
I'm also feeling that the smarter you get around knowing how to read people sooner, the better it's going to be for you. You find that you have organizations that say, we're all family, we're all one, kumbaya, kumbaya. That's where you're going to get stabbed in the back.
Yes.
I can tell you that now.
So
you'll have a manager who's like, I'm all for women empowerment, but that's the one who's going to sexually harass you.
Yeah.
There's something about like, thou dost protest too much. Why are you saying that? That's normal,
Yeah.
you know? And so if you as an employee then learn to kind of go, oh, this one, okay, these are the problems, you can almost find a way to work around them.
And we should not allow anyone to invalidate our feelings.
Yes.
Because that has led to a lot of people normalizing abuse.
Yes.
If it hurts you, Pabi, it hurts you.
Yeah.
If it makes you sad, it makes you sad.
Yeah.
I should not compare you to the next person and say to you,
at least you
why
have a
are
job.
you a CC?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I've said this to the next person.
Yeah.
She did not react this way. You are unique and you have got your own way of reacting to situations.
Yeah.
Your feelings are valid.
And also, you are not stuck.
Yes.
You may feel stuck, which is part of the challenge here if the environment is that toxic and there isn't somewhere to go next.
Yeah.
But there's almost a real necessity to do that other thing outside of work, to remember your light, to remember who you are. Nyiko, do you counsel people who are in this kind of position, or how does it work if we would like to get in touch and get some assistance from you?
We do assist them. As I've told you privately,
Okay.
we do have a program
Okay.
that we have in one of our institutions in Pretoria, whereby we put people through a program as an outpatient or even as an inpatient to help people work around issues like this.
Are you saying toxic workplace culture can lead you to need to be an inpatient in a psychological facility?
Yes. We spoke about depression, we spoke about anxiety.
Of course. Of course.
Imagine if it's major depression.
Of course.
Imagine if you end up developing panic attacks or anxiety attacks because of the toxic work environment. You may need to be hospitalized.
So how do we
it
get
all
hold
depends
of,
on the severity.
How do we get hold of you?
I don't know if I can share my contact.
You must, if you would like to.
Yeah, I can be found at my cell number, which is 083-745-6558, or even via email, which is nyiko@nyavaniwellness.co.za.
Director at Nyavanj Wellness and social worker, and somebody over the years who, you know, I know I can pick up the phone and go, hang on, am I overthinking this? Or am I underestimating this? Thank you very much for coming through on the Pabi Moloi podcast today and sharing light on this thing that is so difficult in a country like South Africa with our unemployment rate. And often you find, as you said, narcissists as leadership.
Yeah.
And so having to navigate both of those while still making a living and still being a full human being, has been really, really helpful having you here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching. We'll continue with the Brother and the Sister podcast, as well as the Pabi Moloi podcast really soon. Mwah.